What is happening, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Why Did I Buy a Mini Truck? In the last video, we made these brake lines, assembled the whole front end of the truck pretty much, except for the brake calipers, which should be here in the next few days, and we can go ahead and attach our soft lines to those, and then hook them up to our hard lines, make that line that runs underneath the truck for the rear brakes, and then we can go ahead and get the system bled out. Really excited to have this pretty much done. I am still waiting on the air line to show up, the hard line that we're going to be using here that will attach to that DOT soft line. But today's video is all about the 4 links. So I recently ordered these, and I'll tell you what, these have to be some of the best ends I've seen in a long time. So these are from Twisted Images, Phil, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll tell you what, they even went as far as to put anti-seize on the threads. I mean, they ship just like this. This is exactly how I took them out. But they are fantastic. You know, really nice insert right here. I love the laser engraving. I mean, just a really good product. And they even came with AVS bushings, which I thought was very cool. I had no idea that that's what they were going to come with, and they did, and it's just fantastic. So I mean, if you just look at the quality, these were not very expensive, but just compare them to these ones that I bought. I mean, they're just, you know, it's a much better setup. I mean, these are both 3-inch wide bushings, but just the diameter obviously is a little different. These work great for the sections that run to the mounts on the frame, but these ones are going to run to our axle. But you know, since we are redoing them, I pretty much have freedom to do whatever I want. So I would like to keep the adjustability though at the axle side. Just make things a little bit easier for me. So we're going to get on the GoPro, we're going to get these cleaned up, and then we are going to cut off the old adjusters and get the new adjusters welded on. So I'm going to put you guys up top, and we are going to start cutting and grinding. So enjoy the next clip. Alright, so in that last clip you saw that we went ahead and cut off the old bushing sleeves and the old adjustable bushing section off of these arms. Unfortunately, it looks like the SD card was corrupted, so I had to go out to buy a new one. So now we have a new SD card for the GoPro, but you can see that we went ahead and got these all welded on, made sure they were nice and straight. So what I did though is I did kind of kick them. They're both kicked like this slightly, and what that's going to do is that's actually going to push the bar out a little bit, which is going to give this bag mount a little bit more room toward the inside, so it'll line up better with the upper portion of the bag mounts. Something I did notice was that the bags looked fairly crooked in there, so now that should keep everything set up properly, and then everything still lines up very well. So I'm very excited about that. So we did get these ends on. These things are fantastic, very easy to adjust. I mean, they're effortless, which is excellent. So if you get a chance to go check those out, I'm pretty sure Phil over at Twisted Images makes these, and they were super easy. It does say it was for a round, and you know, this is a 1-inch box, so it did work very well in here. There was just like little sections on the corner that we had to clean up. Don't mind this like surfaced rust looking stuff. I did end up spraying this whole thing down with like a water-based cleaner once we're in the process of stripping off all the old coating that was on here. It's like a mix between bed liner and Plasti Dip, so I'm just in the process of getting it all cleaned up. so we can get these painted or powder coated. I do have some stuff going on back here, so that's kind of what we're going to work on now. So these mounts, these shock mounts, if you remember before, there was just like a bolt head welded here and it just shot out, had like 10 spacers on it. It was just ridiculous, right? So I got these when I was first looking at doing shock mounts, and I ended up going with this style instead. Basically it was just 2 tabs and then I welded a plate on. But with this, I'm thinking about cutting these up. I can't remember what specifically these were for, but I think they're going to work really well if we chop them to make like a new, I'll probably put it like this, to make a new shock mount, you know, off of this lower link. So obviously this needs to be trimmed to fit. We need to get some measurements, and it's going to be kind of angled a little bit like this to accommodate for the back lean on the shock. When the shock will be in, it'll be like kind of like that. So what I'm going to do is get you guys on the GoPro. We're going to cut these up and we are going to start test fitting them on to that link right there and seeing kind of what we can come up with. Alright, in that last clip I was going over the lower links and we got the upper links all done. So these are in, they are adjusted to where I want them, and they are torqued down. So I think they came out really good. I gotta clean up some of this excess grease, but got it all on here, got it nice and mounted. Now I did make a mistake on the lower links and I'll show you guys what we're working on today. So when I first decided to rework these and I put these on here, I just cut right where the weld was on the previous bushing sleeve, and I just welded a new one on. Come to find out that the bars actually, the lower links aren't the same length. So what I did was I flat edged both of these here at the adjustable bung, and we are exactly 45 centimeters on each one, and that's where we're going to cut for our bar. So once we cut these here, both of our links, both of our bar ends will now sit, you know, they're going to sit like this. Hopefully better than that, but they're going to sit like that. So that's what we're going to be doing today. It was completely my fault. You know, there's no way I cut off more because I just literally cut at the base of the weld. So it was my fault for not checking that the bars were equal length. But what happened was I was getting everything test fitted for the shock mount, getting ready to weld it up. And when I would raise the axle up to height for ride height, the pinion would just dump down toward the ground. And then when I went all the way back down, it was just maxing out. So we're gonna chop these off here. We're gonna weld on these new ones. Good thing I had an extra set, and we are going to get that dialed in. We're gonna get them welded up, make sure the pinion angle is good. We've got plenty of adjustability on each end over here, and then what we're going to do is mark where we need to weld our shock tab on, and we're gonna go ahead and modify those other shock tabs I got to make it work on here. So enjoy. And just like that, we got the old ends cut off. We went ahead and welded on the new ends, and I think they came out pretty good. So now that these are all welded up and cleaned off, we're gonna let them cool down a little bit, and then what we're gonna go ahead and do is put the bushing assembly in here, and we're gonna go ahead and get them put up on the lower portion of the axle and on those new mounts. We're gonna go ahead and take our measurements, make sure our pinion is set up. I do have it currently just zip tied like this, so we know that we're at the right distance forward. So we'll just screw them in down here on each side, and we'll make sure that we get everything kind of lined up. Take our measurements, make sure they're equal distance, and then what we'll do, just like we did up here, is we'll secure the lock nut, and we'll go ahead and get everything prepped to weld on our new shock tab. And then once that's done, we'll get those painted and get this thing assembled, throw the bags on the back, and hopefully get it down on the ground for the first time in a long time. All right, so it is the next day. I went ahead and got these all painted up. I think they came out really well. I went ahead and got a shock tab on there. Now that is the shock mount that I said I was gonna cut off the frame a bunch of times and I never did. Well, I'm glad I didn't, because I lofted off right at the very base, made sure it was good and flat, put it on here, ended up being the perfect distance out for the shock, which was fantastic. So it's been about 10 hours since we sprayed these. They should be good. They're not perfect. They don't need to be perfect. You're never going to see them. I just thought it was a cool little touch to get them sprayed. So now that these are all done, what we're going to do is we're going to pack the bushings in. I did also go and scoop up new hardware. So now we have hardware for the lower links. We didn't have that yesterday. We do have our washers right here. And then these are for the shock mounts, those lower ones there. And then I even went ahead and got some new hardware for the bags. Oh God, focus. Okay, nothing too crazy, but new hardware for the bags, new hardware for the 4-link, new hardware for the shocks. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I remembered to buy the upper shock mount hardware. If not, it's just a quick run over to the store, so it's no big deal. But I don't think I got any for the upper shock mount. But we could just put something there as a placeholder just to make sure everything works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you guys on the GoPro. We're going to go ahead and get these bushings all filled and installed, and then we are going to get them on the truck, which will be fantastic. And then what we can do is go ahead and bolt our shocks up, bolt our bags up, and then I'm hoping today at some point that we're going to be able to get this thing back on the ground, aired up. And this way we can go ahead and test the suspension, make sure everything's good, double check everything in the front, make sure we have no leaks as well. I mean, as you can see, it's on all 4 wheels right now. It's obviously on standstill, but we're this close to getting it on the ground. So I'm gonna throw you guys on the GoPro. Let's go ahead and finally get this thing rolling. All right, guys, so unfortunately I kind of got ahead of myself and totally forgot to film, but I got it on all 4 wheels. I'll give you guys a rundown of all the stuff we did, but I mean, just look at it, guys. It's up, it's aired up. I did have an issue with a fitting over here, this one right here. Actually, I had to change it out. I thought it was the line, but it turned out it was just the fitting. So once we kind of get everything buttoned up in here before we put the engine and trans in, we're gonna go ahead and put that hard line back on, and we should be good to go. But I'm just so happy. So I'm gonna air it down for you guys so you can see what it looks like aired out. I mean, it lays frame, it's perfect. The shocks don't max out. Just ignore these extensions I have in here for now. I have to go get the hardware. I totally didn't get any, and that was all my fault. So anyway, everything looks good though. I cycled it up and down a few times. No weird noises. Everything is lubed that needs to be. The travel is like perfect. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna air it out and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like on the ground. And we'll also go over like the stuff we did, right? And just like that, on the ground. I'm really, you guys have no idea how happy I am to see this thing on all 4 wheels again. So back here, you guys know that we went ahead and got our shock tabs welded in down there. I gotta get some hardware from there still. Bag alignment looks great. All this looks really good. Really happy with how it turned out. Everything is tight. Everything is torqued to spec it needs to be, except for the upper shock mount. Obviously it's an extension. God, I really wish it was sunny outside. I took some photos earlier, but it definitely was not bright out, so that kind of sucked. So up here you might notice that one of these lines got replaced with a plastic line. I thought I had an issue with the line, but it turned out it was just that fitting. So I changed that fitting out, threw a plastic line on it just to air it up, make sure it's good to go. This side right here has no problems at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount that metal hard line back in and see if I still get a leak. If I do, I'll just remake the line. It might have gone in and out too many times and tore the seal in there, who knows. But I'm just so happy, dude. It's finally down. Look at that. Beautiful. Pop a flash on so y'all can see. Now it is pretty dirty and dusty from sitting and having work done on and around it. Man, I cannot wait to see this thing on the road. Everything is new. Shock mounts up here in the front worked great. That Roadie Fab kit, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I mean, it's just the best bang for your buck. As you can see in here, I do have a temporary compressor set up. It works great, so, you know, don't knock it till you try it. I actually thought originally about just buying something off the shelf like this. Why couldn't you just have that sitting in the bed of your truck? You know, to really simplify everything. I mean, you just have it sitting in the bed of your truck, wire it in, and then you're good to go. But we're not going to do that. We've got a brand new tank. So now that this is set up like this, what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the store, get the hardware for the shocks in the rear. But this is a huge milestone, guys. So now what that means is we can go ahead and push this out. We can get the bed in here, the doors in here, the fenders, the hood, and we can get to prepping those for paint. Hopefully have them sprayed out next weekend, depending on how soon that paint arrives. Man, look how good. Oh my God, look at this side. Just a little bit of camber in the front. I'm in love, guys. And you know, another thing about the truck too is it's like, I know it hasn't been that long. It's been like 6 months, going on 7 months since we bought the truck originally. And we did take a few months to work on the donor truck, getting everything pulled off that. I think that took about a month, maybe a little over. But just as far as we've come with this thing in just a short period of time, like, yeah, I didn't spray the inside of the cab. I could always backmask it, just spray it black. You know, it makes no sense in spraying it the same color as the truck when, you know, the color might change one day. So who knows? And you'll never see that stuff anyway, but I'm rambling. I'm just trying to soak it all in, guys. I mean, it's finally on all four wheels. It's on the bags. It airs up. It airs out. All I got to do now as far as the air suspension goes is rework that wiring panel and mount the new tank, mount the compressors. Everything else is already run. Figure out where we're going to mount the Jack's foreplay. But I am just ecstatic, guys. Seriously. I could not be happier with how this thing is turning out. So with all that being said, get out in those garages, get those projects done. I will catch you guys in the next video. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend and have a great start to the week. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.